The two most important, significant and defining discussions now facing Irish society, and Deirdre has touched upon this, are the challenge from Brexit and also the opportunity to begin the transition towards Irish unity. And Brexit poses massive challenges for Ireland North and South. However, the outcome of the British referendum in June 2016 has also now launched or introduced a new national discussion about a transition towards a united Ireland. And Brexit and Irish unity are now dominating the political discourse. And these interlocking discussions will have a defining effect upon the future of Irish society for generations. Sinn Féin believes that workers' rights must be made central to those discussions. Economists and business interests have been the dominant influences to date. But it is essential that the voice of Labour is heard. The priorities of Irish workers and their families should not be pushed to the periphery while others seek to dictate the terms and the direction of these discussions. The reality is that the onset of Brexit has changed everything, and it highlights the contradiction and the undemocratic nature of Ireland's partition. The British state itself has now been pushed into an unprecedented and existential political and institutional crisis. And this Tory government, which is driving the Brexit agenda, is also committed, as we know, to a new wave of austerity. Brexit is the opposite to Irish national interests. And Ireland itself, as a consequence, is now being pushed into uncharted territory. And that's manifest with the prospect of the northern region of the island economy being pulled out of the single European market, out of the customs union, against the stated democratic will of the majority of citizens here in the 6 counties, while the southern state itself continues to remain a member of the European Union. The real potential for the integrity of the Good Friday Agreement being undermined at the same time also exists. Sinn Féin believes that the only effective and realistic alternative to the fallout from Brexit is to secure designated special status for the North within the EU and in an all-island context. That's the best strategic option for protecting the peace process, Irish national interests, economic opportunity and growth, and also to defend workers as well as social, democratic and human rights here on the island. In the North, workers' rights and the required investment in public services are now confronted with the combination, the hydra, of Tory Brexit and Tory austerity. And one scourge is set to exacerbate the effects of the other scourge. Current pressures upon public services will intensify in the North. Real-term cuts in public funding are now confirmed of 2% between 2018 and 2019 and 3% between 2019 and 2020. The Bombardier Sea crisis, which has now been escalated to an entirely new level of difficulty as of yesterday's news, raises the actual danger of further erosion of the North's already reduced manufacturing base. And all of these challenges are actually accentuated by net cuts in take-home pay for private and public sector workers, welfare cuts, higher inflation and increased living costs for ordinary families living in communities such as this, higher inflation, increased living costs, but in addition to those, the public sector pay cap. 0 hours contracts have become prolific across the private sector. And obstacles to union organisation within the workforce, including disagreement over maintaining facility time in the civil service, are a serious difficulty which now workers need to contend with. Brexit's going to deepen an existing race to the bottom, which undermines workers' terms and conditions and sustainable public services in the North. Our party will continue to work and campaign with Congress on these and other challenges here in the north and across the island. We agree that Brexit is not only bad for Ireland, but will also threaten jobs and investment across mainland Europe. And that will have the effect of fuelling right-wing populism and growing xenophobia. Sinn Féin recognises that Ireland's place is in Europe, but we want to see the current European model replaced with a new democratic and social Europe which is built upon solidarity. We believe that Congress, as the largest civic organisation on the island, has an absolutely pivotal role to play in helping to build a progressive consensus of civic and political stakeholders to ensure the protection of the peace process and that the North itself remains within the common travel area, the customs union and also the single European market. You see, Kearney was right when he said that the cause of Ireland is the cause of Labour and the cause of Labour is the cause of Ireland. Historically, the counter-revolution in Ireland represented a strategic setback for Labour and working class interests in the new Free State. It reversed the seminal influence which socialist republican thinking had upon the proclamation of 1916 and also the democratic programme. The rights of workers and the people of no property became subordinated to the conservative elites who came to dominate state power in the newly emerging northern and southern states. Today, the new focus upon Irish unity provides Irish trade unionists and workers with an unparalleled opportunity to influence the policy discourse underpinning future constitutional and political change. The Irish trade union movement should put its mark on that debate. Previous moments of political change have suggested that Labour should wait or pushed workers' interests to the margins. Today, in modern-day Ireland, there's a battle for hearts and minds. A battle for hearts and minds about how society should be organised. And we believe that Republicans, trade unionists and other progressives need to popularise a political narrative which promotes economic democracy and a vision of a new Ireland which represents the many and not just the few. Irish trade unionists should take ownership of the current debate by campaigning for a United Ireland agenda which is rights-based and relevant to the needs of working people and enshrines new progressive standards and thresholds of workers' rights. We are now at a critical phase of the talks here in the North, and Sinn Féin in the course of the last month has been engaged in intensified dialogue to determine whether political progress is going to be possible. But the political institutions in the North are only going to be sustainable and credible if they are in fact re-established on the basis of rights and equality. And the resolution of these issues goes to the very crux of the political crisis. We believe a political breakthrough is entirely possible, but only if collectively within the political parties, the two governments and wider civic society, we grasp the opportunity to guarantee the right of every citizen to their democratic, social, economic, civil, political and cultural rights. And that does mean that there must be a freestanding Act Gaeilge to ensure that Irish speakers and their families are able to engage with public services in this state. It means that we need to have a Bill of Rights which serves as the wraparound in order to ensure that the rights-based approach to government and how society is organised in the North, which we envisage, is guaranteed. That marriage equality is guaranteed and delivered upon. And that, crucially, coroner's inquest rights are guaranteed for those families who for up to 46 years have been denied that basic entitlement. And all of these are rights that are enjoyed by citizens in other parts of these islands. The Tory austerity onslaught in the North was introduced with an electoral pact in 2010 between the Tories and the Ulster Unionist Party. And now, 7 years later, in 2017, and within 3 weeks of the last Westminster election in June, the DUP has now signed itself up to a 5-year alliance to keep the latest Tory government in power. A government who fought the election on a mandate of Brexit and increased, intensified austerity. But the political institutions here in the North, if they are to be re-established, need to act as a bulwark against both austerity and Brexit. As our party's 6th county spokesperson on employment and workers' rights, I want to bring forward legislation in a future assembly which would build upon and improve existing legislation in the areas of industrial relations, trade union and employment law. And I'm committed, as is the Sinn Féin party, to developing effective anti-sectarianism legislation which incorporates sectarianism as a hate crime with appropriate enforcement, sanction and legislation. Our party is totally committed to re-establishing the Northern Executive, but on the correct basis. Our ambition goes island-wide because we want to be in government both north and south. But like the north, we don't simply want to be in government in the south for its own sake or for the optics. In the 26 counties, any decision to enter government will be made by our membership on the basis of a rights-based programme for government, which fundamentally realigns fiscal and tax priorities, prioritises investment in public services, tackles the housing and the health crises, and progresses the objective of a united Ireland. This is a moment in time to begin developing the policy foundations of a new agreed united Ireland. Practical and pioneering thinking will be required to ensure that workers' rights become central to that process. And I'm proposing that we work together as Republicans, as trade unionists, as progressives, to develop a new paradigm for workers' rights in Ireland. I would like to encourage a national engagement on how to harmonise best industrial relations policy and practice north and south in order to develop an exemplar model for industrial democracy and workers' rights in an all-Ireland context. Workers' and other rights should be hardwired into any transition towards a united Ireland. That's a very significant and ambitious challenge, and it throws up this question. Because if not now, then when? And if not us, then who? Labour, friends, should not wait. The vision for labour interests and workers' rights should be elevated in terms of aspiration, relevance and delivery in a future united Ireland context. A national focus upon pioneering a new model of workers' rights should be guided by Connolly's metaphor of the beacon light in the context of 21st century and international developments. To conclude, this seminar is a contribution to encouraging and hoping to trigger innovative and practical thinking in relation to our collective challenges, some of which I have set out, and promoting, most importantly, a new phase of modern industrial democracy for Irish workers in the time ahead. Guramaigh Asucht, Worgo Luder. Agus Tasulogam Gwanishif Tarava, Asan Gisparach, the Talahacht, Arikna Majina. Guramaigh.
Sinn Féin, Goananus Carta Agus Aontas na HÉireann, Equality, Rights and Irish Unity.